Well, hi Rock Solid, it's Judy here, just leading us through some thoughts around disappointment. And the title for today is Disappointment in an Age of Longing. Now the Welsh have a strange word which is hireth, meaning a kind of longing or an unattainable desire, like a kind of homesickness. So homesickness, we know, can be a horrible feeling. When we're missing home, maybe it's spoiling our enjoyment when we're off on a school trip or on a holiday, and we can have such a brilliant dream of how things will be when we get there and look forward to it so much, but it maybe never quite measures up to the dream. And sometimes our lives and our relationships can feel a little bit like that. They just never quite measure up to how we kind of dreamed that they would be. And there's a saying which you might have heard of, which we're going to think about: when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Now I like this phrase because those lemons have to be really squeezed and pressed down to give up the good stuff that we use for the lemonade. And our lives can be a little bit like that. Sometimes we can try and choose to see the good that will come out of some times of disappointment. So we thought we'd play a little game to see who can make the very best lemonade. So all your ingredients will be there with your leaders, and we're going to have a competition. There'll be a few little extras that you can put in to make the very best lemonade, and we're going to get your leaders to judge who has made the lemons into the very best lemonade. Good luck, and I'll see you on the other side. So in life, just like your stories, our own life story can hit a bump in the road, or we can feel that things just aren't turning out maybe the way we dreamed. And often what really can let us down, sadly, in life is relationships and other people, or prayers that we've prayed and we just haven't seen an answer yet. So what does the Bible say to us about disappointment? Jesus really understands what it means to feel let down. So our Bible passage today is going to be from Luke 22, and it's looking at when Peter really lets Jesus down. So I'm going to read it now to us, and then we're going to have some questions that we can look at. So then, seizing Jesus, they led him away and took him into the house of the high priest, and Peter followed at a distance. And when some there had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat down with them. But a servant girl saw him seated there in the firelight. She looked closely at him and said, "This man was with him." But he denied it. "Woman, I don't know him," he said. A little bit later, someone else saw him and said, "But you're one of them." "Man, I am not," Peter replied. About an hour later, another asserted, "Certainly this fellow was with him, for he's a Galilean." But Peter replied, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about." And just as he was speaking, the cock crowed. The Lord turned and looked straight at Peter. Then Peter remembered a word the Lord had spoken to him: "Before the cockerel crows today, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. So that's certainly a story of disappointment. Jesus being disappointed by somebody who was on his team, who was one of his best friends. So how and why do you think Peter let Jesus down so badly is the first question. And then looking at, what do you think Peter learned from this experience? And what do you think Jesus felt like? And the last question it would be good to have a think about in your groups is, how was this relationship healed and restored? So we'll pause the video here and just look at those 3 questions together about disappointment and how Jesus understands our disappointments. So finally, we're going to give each of you 2 halves of a broken paper heart and a pen. So you should be given your nice bright red heart that is in 2 pieces. And on one half of the heart, we wanted you to write things and maybe people who might have hurt you. And on the other half, what you might hope for in terms of healing, or something even you could do to mend the relationship. Now, it may be that you can't think of anyone for yourself because perhaps people haven't let you down or you can't remember, but maybe pray for people that you know of instead, or even countries you know about instead, as a way of praying where relationships have broken down and disappointed people. So let's do that now. So we hope you found today's session helpful. And the Bible has a special kind of name for a prayer like we've just done, which is called lament. And when we've written things down that are hurting us, or that we're sad about, or we've shared disappointments, God knows about those relationships in our life. He knows what you've written down, and even today He'll be working, healing your heart with His love, just as He did for Jesus when people He cared about hurt Him. And I wanted to finish just with one verse that Jesus Himself said about the world in John 16. He says this: "I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. For in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, for I have overcome the world." So thanks so much for joining in with the session today. Really hope you've enjoyed making your lemonade, and also that you've had some food for thought about disappointment and how God can help us with some of the hurts in our lives. So go and enjoy and maybe have a drink of lemonade to finish off. Take care, have a good Sunday.